Edgerton Park, New Haven. This is a side view, another entrance to the park. In the distance you have, it must look like a guard station right over here. This is one of the bigger front lawns of the estate. You can see actually the drawbridge, not the drawbridge, the bridge in the distance that I had on another video. Go back and check my other video out, and you can see this bridge from one of the entry points to the bridge, which is now fenced off, so you can't go there. But I'm walking up to the top where the fountains are and other pathways where the house stood. I was talking to someone one day about my adventures of walking Edgerton Park. This is at the lower part of one of the garden houses up here. You see all the mulch and the trees. So this is another pathway. And what I found interesting one time when I first started walking here is that the old drainage system, and all along all of them where they're seeping into the ground, you can see they have flags there to warn, in the old bricks and stuff, to let people know that this is a area of caution. But it's one of the old drainage systems that was on the estate, and I thought that was very interesting down here. But that old steel, look at that. What impresses me when I walk up through here is the masonry that was done, and you can see some of the stones that lined this particular path that goes up toward where the mansion was. But like I shared on some of the other videos, that here's another shot of that bridge from over here. Let me give you another view of it. It's absolutely beautiful. So as I journey up this path, and you see some of the trees, and I love this because there's so many benches in the park that people donate and give money to the upkeep of the property, that you'll see there's plenty of benches where you can sit and rest as you journey. Sometimes they do festivals here and things like that. Here's some of the old pine trees that go way up. Like there's 4 in this specific cluster of trees that surround all around this property. There's trees and grass. And here's one of those benches, and every bench has been donated by a family or institution. And this is another side view of the garden house. And I went in and I had a tour yesterday, and I forgot to video it. But in here you can get on a list if you're interested in planting and having a garden in here. They said the list is very extensive, but you can garden here. And I don't know if there's a cost or a fee, but it's just interesting to know and see. Here's another view of the bridge as you go up. But the wall is interesting. The wall, when you walk by it, there's a gate, so you, at the end of this bridge, you have to turn. It was like a sharp turn to go through these particular gates. It's interesting because I kept trying to figure out, where does this bridge lead to? But on the outside of the wall, I'll show you one day again how it's set up. So the entrance, like if they were coming in by a car or a horse and buggy or whatever they used back then. I don't know. And you would see, you would have to come across this bridge. So I'm coming in from one of the side entrances, and as I go up here to my left, this is where the mansion stood, up in here, and some more of the trees. And I could tell that the trees were an important part of this particular estate. Trees and are everywhere, so it's so pretty. And when you look over here to the left, you see more of the garden. So like I said, this is Edgerton Park. Mr. Brewster was once the owner, and he deeded it to the city of New Haven. Not far from here is where Yale University is, and it's a good walking area. I just saw one of my neighbors out here walking her dog. So this is they're really strict on making sure that you clean up after your dog, and that's a good thing. And look at this tree in the distance. It is absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I can get it. I think it's kind of like a fir tree, if I'm not mistaken. And when you look up in the distance back over here, then you have East Rock Park is way up there, and they have trails. And as you go about maybe 5 miles down, 10 miles, maybe 5 or 10 miles, is Sleeping Giant Park, which is in Hamden. The Hamden area, where there's tons of trails and hiking, and Quinnipiac University is down at that end of Hamden. So this is the estate again of Edgerton Park, and you will see people just coming and going and walking through. It's beautiful, it's secluded, you know, which is perfect for me. That just peacefulness. And I'll hold on and let the birds talk for a while. And over here are some of the workers at the gardens that they bring in every day from some of the, I guess, rehab houses and like the Goodwill, and you know, the communities where places that hire people. Sometimes they get paid a stipend or a paycheck. I met some yesterday when I actually went in a tour into the garden house, and I'm gonna go in again because there's rooms I didn't go in that you can go into, and it's just for exhibit. And then some of the other areas that people can sell, and they produce an income, and however they take in whatever the cost or the fee is. So I'm walking up here to the fountains right now, and the fountain is on. So it's actually perfect birthday. But like I had in one of my previous videos, and this goes down this way to walk down to the front of the fountains. And you know, I shared on my video before that my eldest daughter was married here, and the fountain wasn't on that day, but it's on now. But she was married here over 20 years ago. And then I found out that this fountain is not the original fountain. I don't know if it's a replica. I haven't gotten in to the stacks yet. They have a archive that you can come on Sundays and you can visit from 1 to 4. But I would call the New Haven Park. They can give you more information if they have definite hours that you can get in and do research and things like that. So we're gonna walk over here to the fountain and see. And there's benches you can sit. People are always sitting out here. So pretty. You might hear a clinking in the background, but that's my walking stick that I carry when I'm on my adventures. In case I need a little support, I'd rather have it than not have it. So that's interesting. So this is the fountain. That's close up. Let's listen to the water. This is the lower part of the fountain, and you can see that the shrubbery outlines the fencing of this particular fountain. They had a wedding here for some big extravaganza. I believe it was a wedding this past weekend because all the rental equipment and everything they were taken out yesterday. So this is the front of the fountain where they have the lion's head in the water, which you've seen in the previous video. But water we know is always calming, soothing. Yes. So my daughter got married right in this area. I have all her pictures. They're so gorgeous. I was looking at last night. I tell you, it's the same ambiance, but it was hot. It was hot. So there's another bench in the distance, like I was sharing with you. Let's bring her up. Remember, every bench has a donor. So this is the other entry to the stairs to this massive fountain area and the shrubbery. And right down this path over here in the distance, if you want to see it, you go on to my other video and you can see the actual bridge down in this area, and it's fenced off. And the grand stairs. Look at the trunk of this tree. Now this is the part where the mansion was, right in this area. Now this intersection above is you go right or you go left. Right is the carriage house and left is going toward the garden houses. And I heard there were many garden houses, but you know, as I was walking through yesterday, I noticed that there was another structure and that they actually made this garden house smaller. I wonder, you know, if that's from what I'm observing, I see it in the ground like another complete structure that may have been there. And as we go off to the right, we're going toward the carriage house. And this is where my daughter had her reception. So I'm gonna go over toward here, which is another exit to the park. So over here, you see one of the former lampposts, which I thought was interesting for those who are into the steels and the architecture and design. Absolutely beautiful. So we're coming into view. They do classes and you can rent this space to do different things, weddings, festivals, classes. I always see different groups, people coming and going. There's somebody who lives here, the land, what do they call it? A garden keeper? Something like that. So we're going into another place where some of the more gardens are. Sounds like somebody's just sitting. So I haven't seen those flowers in this particular garden. It can bloom yet. I'm waiting. I'm excited. I want to see all the things that God created. I want to see them bloom. See these? Little bit of the history I found out about this park is that his name was Edgerton Brewster, and they say that he was the second wealthiest gentleman behind the Rockefellers. If that's true, I'm not sure, but I'm going to continue on my research. But I did listen to the 24 articles that were written about their family all the way back. I listened to the reading from the 1600s in England and Scotland. His family was that far back, generations and generations. But he was a financer, and he financed a lot of things, different projects. I think he was like the head of the, used to call it the gas company, Southern Gas Company in New England. So he was a financer of different corporations in New York. He was on a lot of board of directors. So he was the executive of many different businesses. So his history goes really, really back. And if you could see the neighborhood that is surrounding him, the houses are very grand and very grand, very beautiful, well kept. So even to this day, but I think he died, in the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken. And his wife died 5 years after him. And in his will, what was left was that when she died, the mansion which he had built for her was to be torn down. Look at this, amazing. There's a bell up there. Wow. So after she passed, they tore it down, and it was deeded to the city of New Haven, because his belief was that nobody would be able to afford the upkeep of the estate. As it was, he said his estimation was $100,000 a month, and I tell you, with that number being back then, it was quite high. But looking at the time we're living in now, people have billionaire and trillion. Some of them going for the trillionaire status, and whatever numbers is beyond that. But you know what? It amazes me the belief in what people can do, other people's beliefs. So this is the other side. Then they have chickens down behind these trees right here. There's chicken coops, and there's live chickens down there too. And I can see where they go out and they feed them and tend to them. I don't know if they sell them, but they do have chickens. So this is the other side of that house. This is another entrance, another gate to the Brewster estate that they have here. And you can see that this Great Wall, I call it the Great Wall, not of China, but of the Brewster estate. And it goes around the circumference, but there is land that the state of Connecticut, the water conservation, and then I'll do a video on that. It's this unique structure that's on the other side of this wall. And it kind of is in the shape of, I don't know if you would call it a light bulb or maybe a lady's head. But it's long. And I remember as my teens, I grew up a few blocks away from here, and we used to deliver papers and shovel the snow. And I remember when they were building it, I think, and we were like, what's that building? And they didn't have any signage out there for years. And I can actually show it to you over here. But it's a peculiar shape that's out there. It's like this big, long, like a torpedo shape. Here's the chickens right over here. So we're walking up this path now to this entrance or exit. It's a little hill. They have a lot of hills within the park. Well, a few. Some of the paths I didn't go up today on this walking tour, but it's beautiful to see. This is the back lawn. I guess that's what they would call it. So it goes about a quarter-mile down, and this brings you up to one of the back street where those houses I was telling you were. This is the outside of that entrance I just came in. And then it goes way down there. And this is the gate in that driveway. It goes 25 acres. See the masonry, absolutely spot on. Okay, this has been my tour for today. This is Fern from Fern's Travel Channel and Adventures. Click subscribe for more exciting videos coming. Gonna be doing some walking tours up around here through Yale. A lot of the mansions that were surrounding. And this is Edge Hill Road in New Haven. And the mansions go on and go on and on and on. So have an enjoyable day, and thank you for watching my Fern's Walking Tours. Have a great, wonderful day. Please share this with someone, especially those who are sick and shut in, and you want something for them to see that's clean, savory, that they can think on their life, especially the older, the elders, the seniors who are sick and shut in, the kids. You know, let them see something that's teachable that they'll have to retain and remember through their life. All right, be well.